Hi there, Sagittarius. Thank you for joining me for your weekly forecast for week commencing the 11th of July. This week begins with an intense gathering of planets continuing in the sign of Cancer, which of course is all about feeling things. It's ruled by the moon. It's about intuition. But your connections to others are definitely under the astral microscope with this particular set of influences. But what's fascinating is that by Tuesday a big change starts to be triggered. On that day there is a quarter moon in the sign of Libra, which suggests that in any kind of group situation or circle of friends, you might start to become much more conscious of some of the undercurrents and politics which do work their way around, especially if you've joined an organisation, a network, or have made new friends relatively recently. You may be a bit surprised by who does and doesn't entirely get on, and it can be quite revealing. But I also think that you need to be utterly realistic about any investment opportunities or anything to do with property that can affect your long-term future. Don't be too gung-ho in your approach. However, also on Tuesday, Venus moves into your sister fire sign of Leo. This is a lovely change. It has been going through a very passionate part of your scope, it's true for sure. And this is more of the truth sector of your situation as far as love relationships are concerned. You need to be with someone who does resonate in a way that you can really feel safe with. But equally, this could point towards a connection with someone who comes from overseas, you meet on a journey or on a holiday, or someone who's just very, very different to you. Being stimulated in an intellectual sense can be just as exciting for you with this change, this development, as it can meeting someone who really turns you on in terms of attraction. However, it is true to say that in an existing relationship, the way to rekindle the tie may be by trying to reinvent it in some ways, especially if it has become rather too samey. And this is an opportunity in the next 28 days to be a bit more daring. But that's something that you rarely lack. So variety is the spice of life, and that's the way to invigorate your love life over the next 4 weeks. But equally, Mercury moves on Thursday, also into Leo, and is going to be very closely allied to Venus in the second half of this week. If a love relationship has been bumping along the bottom a little bit, this is going to give you the determination to ask the questions and get the information to let you know exactly where you stand. However, again, if you're footloose and fancy free, this points towards an exciting inquisitiveness, which you can use to great effect. But back in the sun, Cancer is still very, very influential for you. And that's about building up the structures of things. And it is linking the sun with Mars, the planet of action, in the second half of this week in a really truly brilliant way. But it's possible that you may have to do something, some manoeuvring or politicising, working behind the scenes with a great deal of determination, but perhaps keeping your astral cards close to your chest. This is ironic because with Venus and Mercury in such an open location now, that part of you that likes to be bright and breezy is certainly going to be there, but I think there may be something that's much more important and long-standing that you do need to be tactical about, a bit more shrewd. Don't necessarily let other people know exactly what you're doing. That could be true in your love life if there is a relationship that's building up and there's a fascination, but you're not quite sure where this is going. There may be part of you that wants to take a leap into the dark and just see where it will take you. Just be conscious, however, that in the second half of this week, Uranus, the planet of surprises, which has been affecting your love life quite a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, in terms of making you very restless and craving for excitement and stimulation, well, that's clashing with the sun. So you don't want to be getting involved with someone purely on a passionate basis, purely on a sexual basis, or purely leaving a relationship because it's perhaps become a little bit too predictable. You need to find the ways to make it more exciting, and that requires a certain amount of leadership. Now, of course, Saturn in your sign has been clashing with Neptune for some while, since the middle of May, and it will do so through to the middle of October. That suggests that some of your thinking may be a bit stop-start. You get a plan built up, and then the emotional side of it seems to evaporate away, or you're a bit confused about what your real needs are. So go careful if you are trying to start something completely from scratch. But I do think in general, the angle that's forged between Venus and Mercury in the second half of this week is very exciting for that side of you that does like to investigate. Your ruler Jupiter also continues to forge a fab link to Pluto. So if you are a business person and you're wanting to use your resources well, perhaps linked to some kind of travel situation or overseas, then I do feel that you can achieve a vast amount of progress this week, as long as you're not too reckless and you do keep some of those thoughts and ideas very close to your chest. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you for joining me. Good luck and goodbye for now.